Teachopia Samarth, an all-time solution for any English-based competency tests. Welcome to our series on understanding our competency workbooks for grade 6 and grade 9. Now that our learners have finished the learning levels 1, 2, 3 and 4, let's look at practice levels 5 and 6. You will find practice levels 5 and 6 at the end of the contents page, at the end of the primary and higher grade workbooks. Practice levels help us assess if learners are able to perform well when tested on the language competencies such as reading passages, which include stories, informational texts, or poems. Sometimes, even comprehension questions that are based on the reading passage and are multiple choice questions. And word meaning based questions to identify the meaning of words used in the context of the passages or sentences. Let's look at how we can help our learners as they attempt these practice levels. Remember the following instructions while learners attempt practice levels 5 and 6. These levels include NAS sample worksheets that are designed based on previous NAS question papers, focusing solely on reading comprehension. Once learners go through learning levels 1 to 4, they will have the basic skills required to attempt practice levels 5 and 6, as they will have acquired the necessary skills to tackle the sample worksheets after this. Therefore, ensure learners complete the first 4 learning levels before attempting this level. Some do's and don'ts. Ensure you do not assist them in the practice levels or translate reading comprehension passages given in the practice level at all. Check learners' responses in the practice levels and redirect them towards the appropriate learning sheets based on their level of competency. Here are some pointers on how you can do this. Here is a sample worksheet from practice level 5 for grades 5 or 6. The reading comprehension passage given in this sheet will test learners on the various skills developed in the learning levels 1 to 4. As learners attempt reading the passage and answering the questions, you can follow a few steps to assess them. Number 1. Check if learners are able to read the passage on their own. You can do this by asking learners to read the passage out loud. And if they're unable to read it at the expected rate, you can check their level of reading competency by checking if they are able to identify the different sounds in a word, such as blends, digraphs, and diphthongs. If they are able to read full words correctly, and if they are able to read sentences at the right pace, identifying the expression of the sentences accurately. If you find learners lacking in any of these competencies, redirect them to the corresponding learning sheets. If the learner is unable to identify the different sounds in a word, such as blends, digraphs, and diphthongs, redirect them to the activities under phonemic awareness that help learners focus on letter sounds in familiar words. Learn how to blend the letters into sound units. Identify how these units form simple and compound words. If the learner is unable to read full words correctly, redirect them to activities under phonics that help learners identify syllables, practice CVC words, know simple suffixes and prefixes in different words. If the learner is unable to read sentences at the right pace, identifying the expression of the sentences accurately, redirect them to activities under reading fluency that help them read simple SVO sentences and practice identifying and reading unfamiliar words. Number 2. Check if learners are able to answer questions on their own. You can test this by watching how the learners answer a few questions given under the reading comprehension section. And if they're unable to evaluate their level of reading comprehension, you can assess their reading comprehension level by checking if they're able to identify simple verbs and nouns and therefore understand events in a story and the sequence of events in a story. Identify fact statements in a story, understand the cause and effect in a statement, and therefore comprehend the main idea. Make the correct inferences based on the statements given in a story. If you find learners lacking in any of these competencies, redirect them to the corresponding learning sheets. If the learner is unable to identify simple verbs and nouns and therefore understand events in a story and the sequence of events in a story, redirect them to the activities under reading comprehension that help learners identify naming words and action words. Also, helps them understand how they can come together to create events in a passage, and learning how to identify sequence of events in a passage. If the learner is unable to identify fact statements in a story, redirect them to activities under reading comprehension that help learners picturize events in a story and understand how details in a story are categorized as facts. If the learner is unable to understand cause and effect in a statement and therefore comprehend the main idea in a story, redirect them to activities under reading comprehension that help learners to understand cause and effect through picture comprehension and how they can be written down as a statement. If the learner is unable to make the correct inferences based on the statements given in a story, redirect them to activities under reading comprehension that help learners to picturize inferences based on statements given, and also learn how to make an inference from a given passage using facts and following simple steps to arrive at a possible conclusion. Follow the same steps to help learners in higher grades attempt the practice sheets. Thank you.